first and foremost, I wanted to just thank the seniors for putting this together and being rather voicing their concerns and their with regards to emergency management. I am the emergency management director for the town. I'm also the police chief, and here we are at the senior center. So I just wanted to first of all say thank you, first and foremost, again. So as the emergency management director for the town, it's a collaborative effort. Know that it isn't the police department, it isn't the police chief alone. It really is a collaborative effort. Everything's done, working together through whether it be federal, state, local, even private partners. We all work together to help keep the town and the region safe. And it's evident, and you can even look as soon as the recent hurricane that they had down the Cape. It's a collaborative effort. It's an effort that everybody worked together. It wasn't Yarmouth Police Department by themselves. Of course, it was the federal agencies came in, FEMA, MEMA. FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency. MEMA is the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency. And of course, local, state police helped out, and private partners helped out as well. So it really is a collaborative effort. Even when you look at even the gas explosions that they had in the North Shore, you can see where everybody works together. So know that in Abington we do have a SEP plan, which is a comprehensive emergency management plan. Basically, it's two binders outlining exactly what we need to do as a agency. It gives us the contacts, the information that we might need, everything from flooding incidents to earthquakes, to traffic incidents, to explosions. Gives us plans, contacts, so we have them readily available. We're currently updating that plan. The Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, or MEMA, is changing the format to it. The plan is basically the same, but they're changing the format, making it a little bit easier. So know that we do have a comprehensive plan, and I'll kind of get through some of the different things that we have and that we do. So if I start off, the first thing you'd want to have is an operations room. Operations room is at the police department, in an EOC, Emergency Operations Center. The operations room is at the police department. It's basically the community room. And we also have a smaller room off of my office, which mimics. So we would have a emergency operations center where we could hold anywhere from 20 to 30 people from federal, state, local agencies working together to offsite where we have a room that mimics it right off of my office for smaller group, whether it be the town manager, board of selectmen, some people that are looking at it but not readily involved in the actual incident. So you sort of want to take a step away and have a room where you don't want to be in the middle of the chaos. You want to have a room where you can look at everything and have a little bit easier, less hectic area. So we have that, and we can monitor things. So one of the things that we have, and this is under the town manager, and certainly under Wayne Norling, those of you that know him, he is the computer kind of guru for the town. We now have the ability to cut into cable. So if there was an emergency, know that we can do a live cable feed right out of that EOC. So right out of the police department, we can switch over and go live. So if there was an emergency, you could go right to one of the local cable channels here in town, and you would see us live on there, whatever it might be, giving up pertinent information. So that's one avenue. That's pretty innovative. I think probably we are one of the few communities in the Commonwealth that has that ability to instantaneously switch over. It was a big feat, and it was the cable committee and a lot of people worked together to make that happen. It took us about 10 years to get there, to have that ability. So we now have that ability to go live into the Emergency Operations Center for the public to see. And in that Operations Center at the police department, we also have a dedicated telephone bank. So if you were, we have a number that we would give out to the public, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. If needed, we could man it, 5 phones, so you get a live person. And that was set up in the event that, God forbid, we ever have some sort of a missing child, an abduction, an incident where the public needs to know and we need to get live information in quickly. So know that I have a dedicated number that I would give out in the case of an emergency, that you would get live people. So it wouldn't inundate dispatch, so you wouldn't just have the police officers at the desk. You would get actually a different set of people, civilians or trained police officers, that would take information and take it live, and you could talk. So if you saw something, we'd get it live, because studies have shown that the quicker we get that set up and the quicker we get that information, the better the outcome is, hopefully. So know that we have that. Again, you can talk to a real person, and it's set up that way to do that. So one of the other things that we have is a live video feed out of that. That's another thing that's pretty amazing. So if you go into dispatch, you can see we have live video of the schools. We have live videos of the buildings, including this building, of what goes on. So God forbid something happened, and we need to expand that. Yeah, so we're tied in, again, we're tied in with all the different cameras around town. And we have that also at the Emergency Operations Center, dispatch, and that other office I was saying that is off of my office. So we have it in triplicate, the ability to go to watch live and to see what's happening in real time. And as the town grows and as we expand, those cameras we're gonna get more and more cameras. So it's important to get live information from your, from a scene. So you can actually see. We can lock down and see exactly what we want to see. For instance, in the schools, in the corridors, outside, in front, whether it be down at the ECC. And also, I envision a future where we get 139, 18 and 139, the different intersections around town, so we can look at traffic congestion. So as we're making plans, we can see where the backups are live without having to send a cruiser out there that might be tied up in the emergency. We can actually make decisions live with what we see on the cameras. Some of the questions I get is on public notification systems. We have a couple, and I'll talk briefly about them. The first thing you can do is call the police department. So if you have an emergency, we have it set up so that you can call, reach the Abington Police Department. If it's an emergency, obviously call 911. But we have a telephone bank set up where you would press, you listen to the messages, and one of the messages, number 7, will tell you prompt number 7. Number 7 is a dedicated line where if somebody was to call it now, or somebody in the listeners call it, it'll tell you, is there an emergency or a town event? And we can update that. We can update that live. So we can literally, so you won't have to bother a dispatcher who might already be busy in an emergency. We can send out an emergency. You can pick up the phone, call, press number 7, and you'll get information on, all right, there is a town event, whether it be fireworks, all right, what time are the fireworks, or whether it be an emergency, all right, this is where you need to report to. You need to report to the Abington High School, or you need to report to the Frollo School. So we have that ability. It's extension 5996 for those that are, so if you were going to call up the Abington Police Department, you would extension 5996. You could simply press that in. Once you get the voice, you could do it now, and it would give you that information. We also have Nixle, and I would encourage everybody that doesn't know what Nixle is to sign up. You can go on our webpage, www.abingtonpolice.org, and sign up for Nixle. And what we do with Nixle is we give out general information, certainly emergency information. That would be one avenue. But general information, typically for Nixle, what's going on. I think yesterday we sent out something that we were giving out. MBTA, we were working with the MBTA to give out, to do train safety at the tracks. We do a lot of different community things, and certainly emergencies. But we also, and that Nixle ties into Facebook. For those that have Facebook, Twitter, we tweet. So Nixle also tweets out information, and one of the other things that we have is that we can sign up for is Plymouth County Sheriff's Department's Code Red. Again, you can go on our website, abingtonpolice.org, and you can sign up. And with what Code Red is for those that, you know, if we send out a message, reverse 911, it only goes to the households if you can envision that. But if you have a mobile phone, of course, unless we know who you are and you sign up, it's not going to go to your mobile phone. So what Code Red does is gives you the ability to put in your information for a mobile phone. So you will get you can tell that you want to get a voice message of the emergency. I pick up the phone and I call up the Sheriff's Department. I tell them what we need sent out. They pick the geographical area. It can be the whole town. It can be a certain section of town. It can be the whole community. It can be the whole, you know, Plymouth County. And so you'd sign up for Code Red, and it would also give that information, say you're out at the grocery store or you're out someplace else, so you're not at home, or you don't even have a phone. A lot of people don't have phones, so that would give you that ability. And I've heard people say, well, what if I don't have a phone? What if I don't have a computer? And that's an issue, and I would encourage everybody, if, you know, hopefully everybody has a phone and a computer, but if it really was an emergency, certainly, you know, again, we work with, and one of the other things I didn't mention was the school. We also work very closely with the school. The school has a notification system. We have used it before in the past. Superintendent Schaefer is excellent about allowing us access into that, but, you know, as a backup, as a last resort, we certainly have, you know, PA systems. We have handheld PA systems at the station. Believe it or not, we go back to old school. There's PA systems in the car, and we'd simply go door to door if we had to. That's part of our comprehensive emergency management plan if it ever came to that. But I'd also encourage, you know, the seniors to get a telephone line, to get a notification line set together, to get a group of people that, all right, you know, one person is going to be in charge of a tree, so to speak, where one person's going to tell, you're in charge of these, tell 10 people to tell them what's going on, and then, you know, that person may be in charge of 10 and 10, and just kind of get the word out there if it doesn't work, you know, just to try to get all the information. Another thing certainly is, you know, if need be, and it's something I was thinking about actually on the ride in here, is that we could certainly, I'm going back to the old days when it used to be the fire department used to do the fire alarm. And it would be, if there was, school was out, it would blow so many times. But certainly if there was an emergency, we'd certainly work with the fire chief to use that capability to let people know that there's something going on. So there are ways to notify. There are plans in place. They are pretty comprehensive. I would encourage people to sign up. And it's certainly good stuff to know about. So I briefly talked about the comprehensive emergency management plan for the town, but just know that we have a policy. It all has its policy where we work, and we have a response plan that talks about staging, talks about things like unified command, talks about things like management by objectives and how to set up a command post, and we practice that. It isn't something that we just do. We just have a policy, we go through it, but we also understand the concept of unified command, which is a nice way of saying we all work together, so that if there's an incident that involves multiple agencies, the agency head or the delegates all get together and we get off to the side and we're help planning, figuring out what's going on. Because in the case of an emergency, really the number one issue typically is traffic. It's congestion. It's, if you look at some of the horrific scenes that we see today, and you look at the response, a lot of the times the biggest issue is the ability for emergency services to get in to whatever it might be, whether it be a mass casualty incident or something, to help people as quickly as possible. But also know that we work with the fire department, we work with the other agencies, and try to work on that. I'm trying to work on getting things done as quickly as possible, and we're very cognizant of that. So, and like I had mentioned earlier, we are currently updating the emergency management, comprehensive emergency management plan. But it really isn't much of an update other than some changes, maybe some personnel, some changing format. The comprehensive plan is the comprehensive plan, and it's been like that for some time, with some tweaks. Emergency management, and some of the things that we talk about, emergency management preparation grants. I just want to brief on that. One of the questions I got is how much, as emergency management director for the town, one of the things that I do is I try to recover and get money for the town, and we've been pretty successful at that. It's the deputy chief and myself. We really don't have a staff. It's him and I, and just so that some of the people ask, well, what kind of equipment do you have ready? Can we open a shelter? Can we have this? Do we have cots? And the answer is yes. But remember this, that if unless there's an absolute need to open a shelter, which there hasn't been in the 16 years I've been chief, thank God, we're not going to open one. Many times other area towns, whether it be Weymouth or whether it be Bridgewater, open up shelters. And if somebody needed to get to a shelter, we would arrange for them to get there. That would be the Red Cross can only staff so many. We do have an agreement with the Red Cross, and I'll get into that in a second. But it makes more sense to either shelter in place where you are, or certainly or send you to another location. But just by example, some of the different things that we have over 100 barricades, so we can barricade off roadways. We have portable generators available to us that we test. We have lights, portable light stands. We have rehab tents that can hold 100 people. We have that ability, just so you know. We have tent heaters. We have big gas tanks that are natural gas filled that will heat those tents. We have over 140 chairs available to us. We have over 100 cots available to us. We have disposable sheets, 200 of them. And these are all through grants, by the way. These are all through grant money that we have written and achieved for the town, and they're all stocked away in a location at the police departments in one of the outbuildings. We have blankets, wool blankets. We have 72 of those, pillows, 100 of those, pillowcases, hygiene kits. We have 100 hygiene kits for people, beverage containers. So we have all those things available if we need them. We're not going to just take them out unless there's an absolute emergency. But as the town people might want to know that that is available to us through the hard work of writing grants again, and getting the things that we can for the town. We just kind of do it quietly. We get these things available and ready to go. We do have portable shelters. I mentioned that. Not that we would need a portable shelter, but in the event that we did, if, say, for instance, there was school children or something, we couldn't put them in a school for some reason, or we have the ability to erect a tent and give people shelter. Of course, and like I said, we have portable generators. One of the other things that we also wrote that people don't realize is we have an ice machine. I have a commercial grade ice machine in the event that we need ice. So we have that available. It makes 500 pounds of ice in a short time. We do have that available. And as far as interoperability, many times people talk about interoperability. What do we have available? Interoperability would be radios. What kind of communication? I can tell you that if you kind of watched the town report or watched some of the town meetings, you'll see that we have upgraded our radio system. The townspeople have allowed us to do that. The town manager has seen the importance of it, along with the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee, to upgrade. We're now on digital, so if you're listening to analog and it's silent, that's because we're now on digital, because it's a crisper better radio signal. We were having some problems, and it seems to have gone away for the most part. But we're also part of a Metropolitan Law Enforcement Council, or Metro-elect, so we have that channel available to us, which is a tactical channel. In the event that something happened at one of our, for instance, our high school, we have a tactical channel available that both the police and the fire can communicate and do so in a manner from outside agencies. So other agencies can come in, and they also have this tactical channel that we dedicate to it. And we have Baypern. Baypern is, we can go statewide, so literally we can talk to somebody in Westfield if needed from Abington. So we have the ability, we have a channel that's dedicated that if there's an incident that happens in Abington and we want to broadcast it because we think the suspect might be out heading towards Boston, we can get on Baypern channel and send that information out, and they hear it, which is pretty interesting and pretty fantastic. So we've updated all our radio repeaters. We've gone digital, and so as far as radio communications, we're really getting there, and I think we're cutting edge on what we've kind of done. I did mention earlier that we've had agreements with the Red Cross. So we do have a signed agreement with the Red Cross shelters. So we currently are, if needed, the Red Cross would staff. But you got to understand, the Red Cross only has, even though we have that agreement, the Red Cross, they're not gonna come down and staff for 10 people. When it makes more sense to go to Bridgewater or to go to Weymouth and get not only one community but several communities. So we do have a signed agreement. I think it was the last time it was signed was back in 2014. It's been ongoing, and part of it we talk about in that agreement. We talk about utilizing shelters with the public schools, that they would come, and whether it be the high school, whether it be the Woodsdale, the Beaverbrook School, we have different plans for different schools, depending on where the incident is. Because there could be an incident that we might say, all right, the emergency operations, the shelter is going to be at the high school. Well, if the incident is at the high school, we need to have another place, right? We need to be thinking outside the box, and we do have several locations around town that we have designated as areas. And then one of the other things that we do, I talked about grants, that we write grants, but we also recover money. We've been pretty diligent in when there's a big storm, say there's a big blizzard. It's the deputy chief and myself that recover the money for these big snowstorms. Again, we have no staff. It's just us. It's on our additional responsibilities. We will write out and get the information and recover monies for a snowstorm. So if the governor or just declares an emergency and federal money is available or state money is available, we work with the town accountant, we work with the town manager, and try to recover those monies to get the money back to the town, so that for the storm. And we've been pretty successful at that. I think we've gotten tens of thousands of dollars. I know that. I remember one that was well over $10,000 in just one particular storm. But certainly that's something additionally that we kind of do for the townspeople. Talk about training. The academies train. We were ICS, I think 400. I think I was a level 400 ICS, Incident Command System instructor. I think the deputy was as well, and Sergeant McCollum was, if I recall correctly. We've had people that are trained at high levels of Incident Command System, which is, again, it's lingo that we all understand at the fire department, that other agencies, at MEMA, that the highway department, that different agencies understand, so that we know there's a system in place and to keep you safe. And the academies now do that. So the academies saw the initial, whether it be the fire academy or the police academies, they're teaching recruits at the basic level about the importance of the incident command system and how to establish things and how to establish unified command, how to set up a command post, how to worry about things like staging areas, like, okay, where are we going to put all these vehicles? Routes, evacuation routes, all those different things. So they're being taught at a very early stage in their careers, something that we didn't learn. Typically that wasn't something until you made command that you kind of learned about those things. But now that it's great that they're teaching them at younger ages, so that even the person who's on with a year on the job as a policeman or a fireman, they understand the basic concepts. One of the things that I think somebody brought up was, well, what about if there's a pandemic or an epidemic or some type of flu outbreak, what are we going to do? Well, certainly that would fall under the purview of the health department, and know that we have, and as a matter of fact, we did a site walk this summer, as recently as I think a couple of months ago, with the health agent, Marty Golightly, who does a great job. And we have emergency dispensing sites. One of them is right up at the high school, and certainly, so we practice that. We are aware, we have thought about that in the event that something happened that we need to, get medications out or get something out to people quickly. So it is thought of. Again, when I said I'm the emergency management director, that would be, I am the coordinator. So it doesn't mean that I would, this isn't my purview. Obviously, health is something the health department, the health board does. I certainly would provide them with the security, with the logistics. The fire department does their thing. The highway department does their thing. We can't, leave out the importance of the DPW and what they do and what they bring, and we all work together to do whatever it might be. And I said that we had practiced these things. We do. We do operational plans. I know it's seamless to you, to the public. They don't see it, but for instance, whether it be the fireworks, whether it be St. Patrick's Day, the Coombs Road Race, the different things you see around town, we use the ICS system. We do an operational plan. I think for the recent town activities, for Abington celebrates, I want to say the operational plan was about 24 pages long for different things of going on. It's thought through. We have staff meetings. We meet with outside agencies. We actually talk with our federal counterparts, believe it or not. It's seamless to you, but know that there is a lot of thought and a lot of effort that goes into even these simplest of town events that you look at and you say, oh, geez, things went smoothly. It just must have happened. Well, honestly, they don't just happen. They're worked at, and at the end of every event, we also take a look back and we look at what we did wrong. We take notes, and the next time we try to change those. So if somebody makes a complaint or about an issue, we change and we look at that, we make notes, we put that into our plans for the next time. So we try to always get a little bit better. We do look at the equipment. Not only do we have this equipment available to us, like I had talked about, whether it be generators, whether it be tents, but we also audit it. We do it quarterly. We are an accredited agency. As part of the accreditation, it certainly requires that we go through and we look at everything, make sure it's operational, make sure our some of the different things we have, whether it be dirt bikes to get out to some of the remote areas in the event we have something, whether we have a ski mobile or portable generators, we have those things available to us, and they're operational, which is just as important. We also do weekly tests on the station. So one of the things that we have is an emergency, obviously, because we are the Emergency Operations Center, we have emergency generator. So it's not electrical, it's gas powered. So it's separate. So the station might be electricity, it might be heated by gas, and then we have diesel that runs it. So when we built the station, we came up with all these different things to make sure that the operations center is always working. One of the things that I would encourage, one of the things when we talk about a generator that I think when we talk about what can the kind of the political entity do, is I would say that I would talk with my local politicians, my board of selectmen, my state rep, my senators to get the senior, not the senior center, but the senior housing to get them, on generators. It is a problem as I see it, but you got to understand that isn't owned by the town of Abington. That is a separate entity. Senior housing is a separate entity. And certainly, I would think that the Board of Selectmen or the political entities could work together to try to put pressure on some of our governmental agencies to get the different senior housing on backup, on generators. It's important. It's something that has bothered me, something as I see as a problem, and something I see that's an easy fix. But it's just going to take, it's not something that the town manager can do, it's not something that the Board of Selectmen can do by themselves. It's something that they're going to have to reach out and hopefully, get something across the governor's desk to get that taken care of. That's kind of, I went off on a little tangent there, but don't mind me. It's just something as I see as a problem as your emergency management director. Like I said, we do all hazards plan training. We go through that. We do training. Not only do we have a policy, but we train in that policy. So know that as part of our accreditation, we do that. We also, believe it or not, if when we're doing an event such as the town, the deputy chief is the liaison for terrorism. So he'll reach out and we'll see if there's any credible threats going on. Is there anything going on? Is it a day of the week that we're having an event that we don't realize there's something going on statewide? So the deputy chief, he reaches out, he is the liaison for terrorism. And certainly I, as the police chief, know that I have clearance and I meet with the FBI quarterly. I go into Boston, we talk about what's going on, we talk about trends. It's part of a small group of people that get together in Boston. We're in the FBI headquarters, and we discuss matters of not only local and state, but also federal trends that we're seeing, and try to be ahead of them. I mentioned briefly about MetroLEC, the Metropolitan Law Enforcement Council. We are members of that. We have been since the inception under Chief Franey. I got to give Chief Franey a shout out for that. Way back when he saw the importance of joining a group, which is so if you can imagine, it's across this whole half the state. We have a group of police departments that share resources. So at any given point, we can have 100 motorcycles if we needed them. We could have ground pounders or people for search that are trained in search and rescue. I think the quickest way to see that is if those that have been around for a little bit remember Phil Curtis, who was lost years ago. We had 120 people searching for Phil for over the course of 7 days, methodically searching for him throughout the town. And again, that didn't cost the town a dime. Know that these people come from other communities share the burden. So you get 100 police officers, and not only just police officers, these are people from wildlife, these are people that are trained, that know, understand trackers, that understand how to search, and they're in there. So know that we have that resource. It's really, like I said earlier, it's really a collaborative effort. We do keep track of all our hazardous materials sites in town. Believe it or not, there are things like power stations, and even businesses that might have chemicals. The fire chief is very much aware of them. We're very much aware. They're part of our plan. We know what chemicals are on at that location. They're required to give us that information. So the fire chief knows it, I know it, and whether it be gasoline storage, or whether it be batteries at the MBTA station that might pose a hazardous threat. Know that we have plans available, that we have that information, we have the contact information, we have exactly what it is, and everybody's kind of aware of that, what's in the town. So we know kind of where the places are that we gotta worry about. We do hazardous material training, again, at the academy level, not only on the fire side, but also on the police side. We do hazardous material training where we understand, at a lower level. A fire department will certainly be at a higher level of some of the hazardous materials in potential for their, for any issue that they might cause. Again, we are an accredited agency, so we do review all these different things, and really as part of our comprehensive emergency management plan, we look at things like, dam controls. Believe it or not, those are part of our plans. So if there's a flood, I talked about that. We work with the highway. We understand where the dams are in town and where the potential is that we might have to relieve some pressure if there's a lot of rain. Again, you don't see this. It's done seamlessly. The highway might open up one of the dams, and they might kind of work kind of quietly behind the scenes. But know that that's out there. Know that they are doing that. I did speak with some of the already about the hazardous materials, but some of the other in our plans, we have traffic control points where we look at, all right, where do we think we need to be if there's an emergency to get people out? Where's the traffic going to ball up? Where are we going to have an issue? Where do we need to station a police officer or civilian or whoever it might be that helps us? For instance, right off the top of my head, you look at, they got 18 and 139, oh my goodness, well that would certainly be one of the locations, but how to get people out as quickly as we can, we do look at that, and then work with other communities to also, not only so it doesn't just end here, but we get them throughout, wherever it might be that they need to go to. I talked a little bit about some of the centers. We do have centers, and we have multiple centers, whether it be the high school, middle school would certainly be our primary place if we needed to shelter somebody. This could be a location, certainly it's a consideration for a location. Again, it all depends on, the Woodsdale School is also a part of our plans, the ECC is part of our plans. So we have a lot of plans for a lot of different sites, depending on where the issue is. With the primary being the high school, but I would never say it's report to the high school because we don't know that the high school is the issue. So, so depending on the plans, we certainly have everything. So I think that kind of covers everything. Unless there's any questions, or I haven't covered something, I'd certainly entertain anybody has any questions on anything, on what I'm talking about. Thank you, please.
In today's climate, considering the gas explosions and everything like that, that's kind of a big, it was a huge effort to get people to safety and whatever through there. It was immediate, it wasn't any warning really to that. Does that pose more of a difficulty?
Absolutely. So that is where the collaborative effort comes in, and I said that we have we have plans in place where we have immediate contact with people, and to go to some of these things where the deputy be talking with terrorism, or me going to meetings, or working together with our other agencies. I know the fire chief and I, if there's a snowstorm or if something's happening, we're communicating along with the town manager's office. We're constantly communicating. So that's the importance of establishing these things. There could be a plane crash tomorrow in the middle of town, and we have to respond and come up with and respond. And it can be difficult, but it's something that we certainly look at, and we certainly you can't really plan for it, but you can plan for it.
Scale is scary to think
we don't
about,
know.
but it happens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I hope I kind of did a good job and answer. Please go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just thinking about what constitutes an emergency. And I was thinking back on 1978.
Yeah.
Way back.
Yes, I remember it.
The snowstorm.
Right.
That was not planned.
Right.
Do you have to wait for, let's say, the governor to declare an emergency before you can do it, or do you just go into something like then?
The Board of Selectmen has the ability, through the town manager's office, to declare a state of emergency. It's not something that I would do. It's something that I believe the Board of Selectmen has that authority. I would certainly have input into it. We could declare our own emergency, because it might just be, something that is, just, we might have a special circumstance just in town that we have to declare it. And I think that opens up the ability for, they do that for the ability to get federal monies or state monies. That's kind of what the declaration is really all about. It's the ability to recoup some of those monies that we spend. But certainly we could do it through the board, if that answers.
So the town does declare their own?
The town could, or the state could do it. They don't have to wait for the governor, though.
I see.
Yeah. But typically that's what happens. Yes, please.
On the code red, in lieu of us signing up personally, individually, I'm saying that the businesses would be signed up too. So say if you were in supermarket and Trucci's, or someplace that something happened, would that be immediately transmitted either way from you and to us?
If the businesses are signed up, for instance, Trucchi's, if they are signed up and then they took that information and gave it out, I mean, there would have to be two steps there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd certainly encourage you to sign up individually. I really do think it's worthwhile to go on our website, sign up. If somebody has a problem signing up or has difficulties, they can reach out to Deputy Chief Christopher Cutter. And he had extension 5301, so it's 878-3232, extension 5301. If you have difficulties or you just can't, you're having a hard time signing up for this, we'll help you through the process. We'll do whatever we got to do to get you through the process. But it is important. The process is really simple. I think it took me about 30 seconds. And you can do multiple phones. So once you get in, if you have a family member who you might not have access to the internet, but they can go on and they can put your phone, you know what I mean? They can put, so somebody else can do it for you under your stuff, and you get, text or whatnot.
So we could actually do this in the senior center?
We could, yeah, we could do that in the senior center. Yeah, we could set up if need be, and if you think it's appropriate, we could certainly set up a date where we could use, I think, is there computers in here?
Yes.
Right, so we could set up the computers, go online, and help people through the process. It's really simple. It really is. They make it simple. If I can do it, anybody can do it, trust me. I'm not that computer savvy. That's why you see paper and pen right in front of you. No computer. Yes, sir.
If I could, first of all, I appreciate that you made it clear that the senior housing is a state agency. It's not part of the town. So that if people do have concerns, that contacting your state rep, state senator, especially if you live within senior housing, would be a very good idea. The other comment, or more of a question, but I know that the police department, especially in this day of, unfortunately, mass shootings, I know you do a lot of training at facilities, whether it's a school, live shooter response. Is it safe to assume that the department also has plans that you can't discuss because of public safety issues and need for confidentiality?
Yes, that is safe to assume, and that know that the police department is training. We do train, and we train with other agencies. A lot of what we do, we don't, you don't see it. It's seamless. It's kind of behind the scenes. It's designed to be that way. But know that we do look at the trends. We are, very much in touch with what's going on, and we try to be ahead of the curve as much as humanly possible. So, if that answers. Yes?
I think it should be noted that it surprised me, this recent one in El Paso that was so bad. They said that the response from the police was 3 minutes. So I thought that was pretty remarkable for something like that.
It was remarkable what they did.
Well, what you'll see is in police training, as a result of some of these tragedies, you will see there was a complete shift in training. in response. It used to be, way back when, that we would wait for SWAT. You'd sound, you'd do the, you get to the scene, you'd cordon off the scene, and you'd wait for SWAT to come in. Well, they realize SWAT takes anywhere from a half hour to 40 minutes, and the incident is over in a matter of 10 minutes. So you'll see police officers now trained, including the Abington Police Department, to immediately go to whatever the threat is, immediately go towards the shooting. So we do train that way, whether it be in groups of 1, 2, 3, 4, if we have that available. And hopefully we get to the point where we're training universally, where if another agency comes in from another neighboring town or another state or federal agency, that we're all using the same tactics and in training together to get the threat immediately taken care
What
of.
amazed me is these were policemen that had only been on the job a short time that did this. They weren't seasoned officers.
No, and you'll see that the training today is so much better at the academy levels than it was yesterday. And certainly, police departments are very much in tune with training. I know that in Abington we train. When I first started, I think if you were lucky to qualify once a year, we qualify 3 times a year. And we do active shooting. We don't just do static, just sitting there shooting at a paper target and moving. We do simulations training, which is basically shooting pellets. We have equipment, we'll go through with the long guns and we'll do training. So active, and have somebody actively shooting at you as you are training and trying to mitigate or trying to stop the response. So you'll see training has really come a long ways, and I think as a result, you're seeing a better trained police officer and a better, hopefully a quicker response. And I'd like to think that here in Abington, we are doing that. I know we are training that way, and I'm pretty confident in the people that will respond appropriately. Yes, go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah. I'm just, this perhaps isn't, applies to what you're really talking about, but in these incidents, you see the SWAT team there, and does every force have a SWAT team, or is the SWAT team a regional thing, and that's why it takes them so long to come?
Typically, in Abington, it's a regional thing. We're part of Metropolitan Law Enforcement Council. That's pretty typical for towns. Some of the bigger agencies might have a SWAT team, but even if you had a SWAT team, say Abington had a SWAT team, you got different people working different shifts, doing different things. They're not all going to be there. You know what I mean? The odds of a traumatic issue happening and having everybody on the SWAT team working and having to be all ready to go. So that's why so really the way we train now is that, again, I go back to, we're training almost our patrol level officers, or we are training to use SWAT formations. So no matter who it is working a shift, they all understand. They have shields available, they have long guns available, they have tactics that they understand, and they train. And we do that on purpose. We work together on shifts, but we also mix our guys up, mix our people up when we're training, so that officers kind of know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we know who is really, who's really, really good and proficient at it. So I think that SWAT team mentality has changed in that now officers respond. Any officers really, honestly, is pretty darn close to using SWAT tactics and what they would typically do immediately. So we don't have to wait. And that's the change, I think, in policing you'll see across the country, and that's the change I think you were talking about when you see a 3-minute response.
Thank you very much. I think you've answered a lot of
Thank
questions I
you.
had.
So we're gonna have a great article in the Senior
Well,
Informer.
we don't know, I still under advisement.
But I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to come here, and certainly it's always a pleasure. And that's it. And I'm sure I'll see you later on today and on Thursdays. And if anybody has any questions, certainly you can reach out to myself or the Deputy Chief, Christopher Cutter, at the Abington Police Department. So appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I was hoping for a private interview.
You got it. We'll do one later. Whatever you want. You know.